Yo, what's going on, guys? Probably not gonna go into anything crazy like my Savage video, but who knows, I might waffle for a bit. A lot of people have been asking me just like, what I'm running. I think people liked the gear video. Just got a few DMs about it. Seemed like the feedback was good, so I'll probably just try and make some going forward anytime I think that we're doing good runs. So in the beginning, pretty standard. Just doing my light tank build. This is literally everything like just before the channel, pretty much. Let me hit a food so all my stats are correct. So I'm just 300, 300 for this part in light. Night Veil shield with Vicious. And then afterwards, I would do the skip. This is what I was rocking for the skip. I could have upgraded the wing leather shoes further, but I was lazy. Realistically, you could put a gem slot and enchanted ward on these. But I think I was like 34 for 35 on the skip, so didn't really feel like I needed it. Only thing for the shield is probably just have the elemental mutation type. So I got flame here, and then always have enchanted ward. Enchanted ward is huge. Even if you have your musket out like this, the enchanted ward from your shield is still active. So you'll be getting damage reduction even with your offhand out, which is really big. Just a little flail with accelerating barrage. This is like the only traps musket I really have, so I was using it. Lacrity Ammy, Blood Drinker for a little bit more life stealing when I'm vortexing, and then Fortifying Toast and Despised. I think Refreshing Toast is really important on skips. If you're doing skips in heavy, Fortifying Toast is really important. That's why I have mana pots on my bar. You can even look at my armor rating after this. But you'll see my armor rating is like 2709 right now. And then if I hit a mana pot, it goes up to 3217. So it's effectively like, 500 armor rating. Pretty good, pretty good. After the skip, I'd swap sets. I'd go to decks here. I'd probably min-max these sets a little bit more, but I was kind of lazy this week as far as my attributes go. But it still felt good enough for what we needed to do. I would want a different weapon so that I could min-max my stats a little bit better. I think if we did Forge again, I would just drop to 50 con for the lost section. Empowered, I think, is important here on your amulet. One heavy attack, since you're more of a DPS, will be very important. Depending on how your healer plays, your healer might, or you might not be having Oblivion either. And then for Ifrit set, we decided to go with a medium Nature's Wrath build. I might try out other things, but again, just kind of a little lazy this week and just did what I thought was feeling good. I started off the week at 300 con, and then kind of immediately dropped to 200 con, and then even went further down to 100. I think if we did Ifrit again, I would probably do medium 50 con, and then I might change my weapon combos around as well as stopwatch, but I'll test that kind of when I get there. The only thing that's really important if you're rocking like Nature's Wrath and you're swapping or you're doing a split Ellie gem like this is you're gonna want slash damage on your ring, and then you're gonna want like a total of 8 harnessing slash empowered fire or like rune glassed rubies or whatever you need in armor. This will effectively put you at like 50%. What's it called? 50% of your elemental damage, and 39.1% of your slash damage with the ring. I was missing one piece because I decided to go lower con, and there wasn't stuff on the market at the time to make another rune glass piece, but you'll see that, you know, here I have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces rune glassed, and then 1 harnessing, 2 harnessing, 3 harnessing. So I'm missing 4% in power on my arcane side that I could have. But again, you know, just kind of a last minute build. Just dropped a little bit of empower to go lower con on the last day because I felt like it was possible. Then stopwatch, of course. Slash damage, and then just refreshing and despised. So these were pretty much my resistances for Ifrit with 1 slash conditioning. So I think a lot of the time I was most likely sitting at, I don't know, almost slash cap. This feels like a good resistance to me if you want to go lower con. I'd suggest slotting just a lot into slash. I also felt like light armor, I was taking quite a bit of damage, and the medium Nature's Wrath build was just really, really nice. It allows you to be a lot tankier than you are in light, and probably output similar damage. After Ifrit, I kind of did a stalling and kiting build. I tried not using Blood Drinker earlier in the week, but then I realized it's just not... There's no reason really not to run Blood Drinker for this part. Because, like, if you look at the 2 weapons I decided to go with, these don't do damage anyways. So, there's really no reason not to run it. Maybe if you were doing Greatsword or Sword and Shield, you could get away with not running Blood Drinker. Crowded Bludgeon is nice. And then just a little bit of slash conditioning. Sundering Shockwave, of course. And then another, you know, Fortifying Toast, Refreshing Toast, Despised Earring. So initially I didn't want Regenerating because you kind of go down the hallway at, like, behind your group after you do this stalling thing. This is like right after Ifrit. But I realized that there were times that, like, the 2 ranged mobs would, and you could do this differently, I'm sure, right? But there'd be 2 ranged mobs where I was just holding everything and the rest of the group would be fighting the named mage. And if I had Regenerating, I'd have a higher chance of just holding aggro on those mobs, potentially. But it's hard to say. It was nice to not have it, so I just didn't have to worry about a shit ton of turns when I could be weak leaving. I might play around with this more, but Regenerating is like solving problems in one area and then creating problems in another area. And I'm just not sure if it's worth it. I think if you can run Alacrity for this part, you should. Just because your Vortex spins is about 30% haste, and you're going to get 2 to 3 seconds increase on that, which is really, really good if you're in heavy. Oh, and then shield is pretty much the exact same. Nothing crazy here. 300, 300. Then besides that, final Marius boss set. This felt fine to me. I'm sure that you could, like, do this in different ways. I didn't have a amulet that I wanted with other perks, so I was kind of forced to use this one, unfortunately. But I don't think Fortified Recovery is dog shit. It has a little bit of value, but probably not a ton. Slash damage, of course, in heavy. Little Fortifying Toast earring. I think that these are very good. I'd probably run Refreshing Toast if I could, but I just didn't have it. And then Butcher, of course. Just some random flail that I had since I had Refreshing Move on my shield. Night Veil is surprisingly, like, really good because you actually get value from Flame Conditioning, which you almost never do for Marius. So let's see, my Marius stats where I was 34 slash, and then when my conditioning procced, I'd be sitting at 50% slash, and then I'd pretty much be 38% fire the entire time. I felt like these resistances were very good, and the only times I would die is if I played overly aggressive. I'd probably stay with this. I wouldn't change it personally for now. I also tried using a round shield, but I think I just like the tower shield more. Occasionally you want to block, and on top of that, extra damage reduction from everything I think is worth it for a boss like Marius. And if you're already heavy, I'm not sure how much the tank should min-max, but, you know, feel free to play around with things as you see fit. Besides that, I'll just show skill trees really quick. I swapped off Shield Rush to go to Leaping Strike for the Lost section, just like that. Warhammer, pretty standard, I think. Maybe taking this because of Shattering Week, but not sure. Blunderbuss tree doesn't really matter, just honestly double down with Azoth and Splitting Nade is all you need. You could I just have this because I'm comfortable on BB. Musket tree, really just want your traps, and then these two to help pop silence, which is really nice. You can build silence by just like every time you load abilities like this. You'll see me doing this a lot, like if you watch the VOD, but that's just building the silence bar, which just gives us more control. And then here's the flail tree. I did use human shield, which I do think is good for Marius. It probably doesn't have like a ton of value, but if there's ever a chance on Marius where, you know, you're tethered to a teammate and they don't get one shot, then it's good, right? It's not something that you should rely on, but there's a slight chance that it could work. So I feel like it's worth it to use it for bosses like Marius. That's really it. If you guys have questions, just let me know. Feel free to ask in the comments and I'll do my best to answer. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. I appreciate your continued support, and I'll see you guys in the next video.